Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into a really powerful one, Tara Westover's memoir, Educated.
Yeah, it's a book that sparked so much conversation and a lot of intense debate among readers, too.
Absolutely. Our sources, critical reviews, reader forums, you name it, show this isn't just a survival story. It's really this deep look at memory, family trauma, and, well, what it actually costs to find yourself.
That's exactly our mission today. We're trying to unpack this central paradox.
Yeah.
How does someone with zero, and I mean zero, formal schooling until age 17 end up getting a doctorate from Cambridge?
It seems impossible.
It really does. So we need to look at the story itself, but also tackle those big reader questions about, reliability, truth in memoir, and the immense personal price she paid for that education.
Okay, so for anyone who hasn't read it, the basics are pretty stark. Tara grew up with survivalist parents, way out in the mountains of Idaho. They were prepping for the end of the world.
Right. And this meant living completely off the grid. No school, obviously, no birth certificate, no doctors.
Yeah, the no doctors part is terrifying. She talks about serious injuries, concussions, burns, deep cuts from the junkyard, all treated at home with herbal remedies by her mother, who was also a midwife.
And alongside that, there was severe domestic abuse within the family that just went unchecked because they were so isolated.
It wasn't just passive isolation either, was it?
Not at all. They were actively living this code, stockpiling food, like home-canned peaches for the apocalypse. Every kid had a head-for-the-hills bag ready to go.
Bug-out bag, basically.
Exactly. And Tara's childhood involved helping her mom with the herbs, yes, but also working in her dad's junkyard, salvaging scrap metal. It was dangerous work.
So that's the starting point, which brings us to our first theme.
Yeah.
Just the sheer shock of the narrative itself.
Yeah, readers were absolutely gripped. The way it's written, it's so vivid. The scenes, the dialogue. People say they kept having to remind themselves it wasn't fiction.
I saw comments about people literally shaking or crying while reading it. It hits hard.
It's that contrast, I think. You have this almost medieval existence, stewing herbs, fearing the feds, and then suddenly this leap into academia.
An unbelievable leap. She taught herself enough basic math and grammar to take the ACT.
And scored a 27.
Which is, a solid score for kids who've had 12 years of proper schooling.
Right. To do that from scratch, it just shows this incredible drive, this intellect. And that score, that single test, was the key. It got her into Brigham Young University.
And from BYU, eventually she ends up at Harvard, then Cambridge for her PhD.
But the book, as this synopsis points out, isn't just about collecting degrees. It's framed as this struggle for self-invention, about gaining the perspective to see her own life clearly, maybe for the first time.
Through new eyes, as the book says.
Exactly. That's what the education really gave her.
Okay, let's shift into theme 2 then, because this is where things get complicated. The reliability question.
This comes up again and again in reader discussions. How could she possibly remember specific conversations, exact quotes from 20, 30 years ago?
Yeah, some felt it read too perfectly, like a novel, almost like a predestined hero's journey, which made them question if it was, strictly factual memoir.
It's a fair question and one we have to address. The first piece of evidence people point to, and Tara mentions this, is her journals.
Right. She kept journals for years.
15 plus years, apparently, which likely served as, excellent primary source fodder, as one analysis put it. They helped anchor the memories.
But does relying on notes maybe change the feel of it? Does it make it less about raw memory and more reconstructed? Some readers felt that maybe took away from the immediacy of the trauma.
That's an interesting point. But I think the journals actually support the deeper truth of the book. Tara is incredibly upfront about memory being flawed. She even points out where her memory differs from her siblings.
Okay, so she acknowledges the gaps.
Yes. And that's critical because the memoir isn't trying to be a perfect, objective timeline. It's fundamentally about her perception. Her struggle was against being constantly told her memories, especially of abuse, were wrong or fabricated. She was being gaslit.
So the memoir's truth isn't about getting every single fact perfect, like a court transcript.
Exactly.
It's about her fight to trust her own experience, her own mind, against intense pressure to deny it. Learning to believe herself was part of escaping.
Precisely. That journey of learning to trust her own reality is central, and it leads us straight into theme 3, the abuse itself and the really difficult family conflict that resulted.
The sources identify 2 main figures driving the danger. The father, with his survivalist beliefs, strong Mormon faith, and what sounds like untreated mental illness.
Graphic and disturbing physical abuse described.
And this aspect caused huge distress for readers. People constantly asked, why wasn't CPS involved? There was real concern, especially after the book came out, that he might still be harming his own wife and children.
It's a deeply troubling part of the story, and tragically, there's a recent development. We learned that Travis Westover actually passed away in November 2024.
Oh, wow. How?
The reports say it was from complications of pneumonia, and he died in a hospital.
In a hospital. Given the family's extreme distrust of doctors and hospitals, that's incredibly ironic.
It is. And while it's speculation, you can't help but wonder if that deep-seated distrust instilled by the father might have led him to delay getting medical help until it was too late.
That family ideology had such far-reaching, devastating consequences.
Absolutely, and it affected everything, even how they made money.
Right. How did they support themselves out there?
Well, initially it was the father scrapping and odd jobs, which sounds pretty precarious. But later on, the mother became quite successful.
With her herbal remedies and essential oils.
Exactly. That business, which is still around today, Butterfly Express is the name, I believe apparently became quite lucrative.
So the mom's business maybe provided a kind of financial cushion.
It seems likely. And ironically, that success might have enabled the family's isolated, dysfunctional system to continue for as long as it did. It provided stability amidst the chaos.
That adds another layer, doesn't it? Meanwhile, you have Tara caught in this awful bind, pulled back by loyalty, trying to reconcile.
Repeatedly trying.
Only to face denial and more gaslighting. The grief of finally having to cut ties is just palpable.
Yeah, and some readers got frustrated, feeling she was almost taking blame for the abuse by keep trying. But that internal conflict, that tearing away from the people she loved, that is the cost the book talks about.
Which brings us to theme 4. What did education ultimately give her? It wasn't just about getting into university, was it? There were people who helped bridge that gap.
Crucial people. Her older brother, Tyler, who had gone to college, was instrumental in helping her even apply to BYU.
And her first boyfriend, Charles, seems important too. He was her first real window to the outside world.
Yeah, he introduced her to basic things like taking actual medicine for pain, dressing differently, small things that signaled a different reality was possible.
But beyond the practical help, what was the essence of the education she received?
I think that's the key point. It wasn't just about the prestigious names Harvard, Cambridge. It was the broader sense of education, the perspective gained from friends, from encounters, from just learning basic history.
Like finding out about the Holocaust or the Civil Rights Movement for the first time as an adult, things her father had dismissed or distorted.
Can you imagine that kind of fundamental reframing of the world? That was the education. It wasn't about grades. It was about getting the tools, the language, the context to finally understand her own life.
To see it through new eyes, like we said before.
Exactly. And we really shouldn't downplay the sheer academic achievement either. Mastering academic writing, complex research skills that challenge many students while dealing with profound trauma and often being broke.
It's extraordinary, just staggering.
But as you said, it came at the highest possible cost, losing her family. Which leads to that question hanging over the book. Was it worth it? Would she do it again?
That painful calculus is really what defines the book's impact, I think.
So wrapping this up, what are the main takeaways for you, the listener? Educated is obviously this incredible story of personal transformation.
Yeah, against truly unbelievable odds.
But it's also a case study in how we read memoirs, what we mean by truth when memories is involved. And maybe most importantly, it's a raw look at the agonizing conflict involved in breaking away from abuse, especially when it's your own family.
She literally had to educate herself out of an impossible situation.
Which leaves us with a final, pretty sobering thought, one that came up a lot in the reader discussions. Tara's story is exceptional, right? Her escape is almost statistically miraculous.
Definitely.
So the question is, how many other children might be out there right now living in similar kinds of isolation, maybe similar abuse, completely hidden? But without Tara's specific, maybe unique combination of intellect, resilience, and frankly, luck to find a way out.
That's a chilling thought. How many others are there that we don't hear about?
Exactly. Something to really think about long after you finish the book.